All right, so again, welcome to this webinar on configuring your new cloud site. Today, I'm just going to walk you through a number of basic tasks that you may need to do to get your site configured correctly, to get a number of things reset up following the migration to the new system. So I'll walk you through these topics, and then at the end of that, I'll open it up to questions if anybody has anything that they're concerned with or that they need additional help on, and we can work through those. This article on configuring your new site is in our knowledge base that's on the help desk website. A link to this is sent out along with this meeting invitation. And so we'll use this as an agenda to help show how to work through the to work using the knowledge base to help you understand things about your site. And sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody else just so that we don't get any sound interference while I'm going. All right. So the first thing that you'll want to do, and we've had a number of people ask for assistance on this already, setting up your custom domain name. This one's a little bit technical in nature, and it's going to be varied depending on who your domain host is. So I'm not going to go through this one just because it's a little bit more variable. It's a little bit more technical. You can, if you need help with it, read through this article. If there's something that you still need help with, then you can go ahead and create a new ticket, and we'll help you out with making sure that you can get that set up. So the first thing that I want to go through, because it's one of the biggest overall changes that you'll be making to your site, is changing your theme. And so that's going to give you, changing your theme gives you options for how, what colors everything shows up on your site, and then kind of some of the basic arrangement of things on the pages of your site. So, and changing your site's theme it's really easy. Anyone with a site administrator privileges will be able to change their theme. And so, what you'll do is you'll log into your site. And once you're logged in, then you can go to this little button up on the top right that has your username on it. And when you click it, you'll get a drop-down menu, and you can come down. Now, you can either use the theme changer, which will take you directly to the theme changing page, or you can go through to your site setup, and then under theming, you'll see the same menu. And so on this page, on the theme settings page, you'll see a number of different options. And so you can pick any of these to change your theme to that. And if you want to preview it, then you can just click this inspect theme button, and it's a little bit technical, so you may not want to, but it'll show you kind of a difference between what the themes look like between your present one and the new one. So if you want to activate a theme, say I want to activate the Metropolis Tangerine theme, I like orange, then I'll just hit the activate button, and up here it'll say your theme has been enabled. And then you can just come to your home button, and you come back to your site, and you'll see that the appearance of the site has changed. So your search bar has moved, the colors are different, you've got fewer borders, visible borders on your site, and some of the buttons are different colors. So it's not a huge difference, but it is a change in how your site looks. So you can go back if you want and change to any of these themes. The Sass theme listed right here is going to be the default that your site starts out with. And so that's it. You can just change through those, find one that you like, and then you're done. So that's how you change your themes. Next, what you might want to do, you'll notice you have a site title up in the top of your screen, and you may want to change that to your library's name. Hold on a second. All right. So I'm glad you can hear. Okay, yes. So changing your site's title. And so here I'm on a copy of the Harney County website. And so I want my title to just say Harney County Library. So what I'll do is, again, I'll click on that button that has my username. And I'll go down to the Site Setup menu. And then I'll go down to the option that says Site. And the first thing here is the site title. And so I'm just going to shorten that. And then I'll click Save. And you can see that it's reflected immediately at the top of the page. And I can click on my site logo to bring me back to the home page for my site. So that one's pretty straightforward as well. The next thing I want to do is upload a new logo. So we have just a standard, a default Sass library logo that your site will start out with. And anytime you don't have a logo uploaded for your site, this one will appear as a placeholder image. So to upload a logo, first you'll need an image that you've selected. So anything will do, as long as you have access to it, you know where it is, then you can upload it. So what you'll want to do is go to your site assets folder. And the easiest way to do that is to type that into the search bar at the top of your screen. And you'll see that appear. And so if we go to the site assets folder, you'll see there's two subfolders inside it. One of them is for images and another is for files. And we've created these. These will be available on every site. And this is a default repository that we've created for various files that you might be using throughout your site. Just a place to put them so that you don't necessarily have to clutter up other folders with your images or links, whatever you're putting into your site. So we're going to go to our images folder. You'll see that there's nothing in here yet. And I'm going to go to the contents view. And then I'm going to click Add Files or Images. And that's going to open up your standard file selector. And I'll pick an image, and you'll notice it just has a generic name, image01.jpg, and that's fine. It doesn't have to have a specific name, like the file itself doesn't. But so when I come down to the upload dialog, you'll have an option to change the file's name. And this is very important for the logo. Your file will have to be named sitelogo.png. It doesn't, my actual image file is a JPEG, but as long as I make sure that this name right here says this, then it'll allow it. So, and I'm going to click Start to upload that. And now when I refresh the page, you'll see that my image has replaced the default logo. And so it's that simple. And if I would like to change my logo once it's been uploaded, you'll see that there, and in the article that we have here on our knowledge base, there's a slightly different process for changing the logo. What I'll do is I'll click on the image in the contents bar, and then I'll go to edit, and I'll come down here and you'll see the title, site logo PNG, and I'll click on the radio button for replace with new image, and then I'll choose a different file and save it. And as you can see, I've changed my file and it has updated the logo. So it's an easy process whether you already have a logo or whether you're adding one for the first time. That's all you got to do. Just again, make sure that your file, when you add it, is named sitelogo.png, because that'll tell the site, oh, this is my logo that I want to use. All right, so next I want to talk about organizing your top navigation menu. And so that's the menu that's going to appear at the top of every page on your site. And as you can see here, we've got 6 folders that are displayed here. And you can see that one of them is intentionally a problem. It's an extra folder with a really long name that causes the top navigation menu bar to take up multiple lines. So one of the things that we want to encourage people to be careful with is what folders are going into this top navigation bar. So the way things get there is that every folder that you add in the home folder of your site is going to by default show up in this menu. So you can see, you know, we've got our kids and Western History Room and research, about us, forms. So by those are created and those will show up by default, including this extra folder. So we have a few options if we want to take this extra folder with a really long name out of our top navigation. Just because we don't want it to show up there, because it will keep the navigation section will keep expanding the more folders we add. So, and we don't want to take up too much room on the screen with it. So I can click on that to go to it, and then I can click on edit. And if I do that, then I can come to the settings tab in the edit view for that folder, and I can click on exclude from navigation. And what that's going to do is it will hide this folder from this top section up here. It will also hide it from your navigation portlets on the side. And so it'll still show up as long as I'm looking at it. But if I go back to my home folder, then you can see now that folder has been removed from the top navigation section, and I don't see it in my navigation portlet either. So that's one option for dealing with folders like that. So I'm gonna unhide this to show you the other way that we can deal with this. So the other option that you have for cleaning up your top navigation menu is to organize the folders on your site in such a way that the folder, you have all the folders you want, all the sections of your site you want, but they're organized into categories at the main level of your site. So say this extra folder is something that we do want visible to navigation, but maybe we can put it somewhere other than the home folder on the site. So what I'm going to do now is move it and say, okay, well, we're going to put this in the research section. We have the research section available here in the top navigation, and we're just going to put that extra folder into that folder. And so I go to the contents view and scroll down and find my folder, and I click the radio button next to it, and then I hit the cut button below that. And so then I'm going to go into the research folder, which is where I want to move it, and go to my contents view, and I'm going to click the paste button down here. And it'll say, I'll get an info message that says an item has been pasted in. And you can see now in the navigation portlet on the side that this folder has been added into the research section. And if I come down to last page, you can see that it shows up there. And if I click on the research folder in the top navigation, you can see that that folder is now one of the subfolders in that one. So that's just an example of how you might want to modify the organization of your content on your site to help clean up the menus that you're going to see on every page. The next thing that you might want to be able to do is to change the publication state of various folders on your site. And this kind of touches on one of the next topics also, which is broken images that are broken because they're in private folders. So one of the things I want to show you, so if I log out real quick and I go back to our home page, then what we'll see, sorry, a lot of the time what we'll see is that there's, I have a screenshot of it here, is that you'll see a lot of images that are appearing as broken. And that's caused a lot of the time by those images being in a folder that's marked as private. And so to fix that, you need to go and change the publication state of the folder that they're in. And you can see private folders in your navigation portlet. They'll show up in red text. That indicates that they're private, so users who aren't logged in can't see those folders. And so say I want to publish my news and events folder so that the content that's there, it will be visible to everybody. So what I can do while I'm logged in is I can go to that, and so it's saying, you'll notice that when I click into that folder, it says it's published, but that's really because the page that's being used as the view for that folder is published, but the folder itself is private. So in that case, I can go to the Contents tab, and now you see we're looking at a view of the folder, and its state is marked as private. So, and all you have to do to publish it is just click on that state. It'll open a drop-down menu, and you have the option to publish or publish for staff. And publish will make it visible to anyone, whether they're logged in or not. Publish for staff will mean logged in users who are part of the staff will be able to see that, but users who aren't logged in won't be able to. And so if I go home now, you can see news and events has changed from red to blue, indicating that it's published. And content within that folder will now be visible to users who are not logged into the system, or not logged into the site, rather. And so, yeah, and that's that again. As I was mentioning before, that publishing or making private folders, it can be very important for files and images because they don't have their own publication states. So most content types, your calendars and collections and events and pages, all these things that you can add to your site, they'll have publication states. You can say, I want my calendar to be published. I want this page to be published. But for images and files, they're going to inherit the publication state of the folder that they're in. So if you add an image to a private folder, then that image will be private, and that means that users who aren't logged in won't be able to see that image. So we want to make sure that if you're adding images to a public part of your site, that they're inside a published folder. And the next section on checking for broken images, one of the ways that images can show up as broken is if they're in private folders. And so it's straightforward to deal with that, all you have to do is either publish the folder that the images are inside, or take those images and move them into a folder that is public if you don't want to change the settings on the folder they're currently in. And if you do that, we recommend that you use that site assets images folder that we mentioned before. Another reason why your images on your site may be broken is that there was a problem during import, and so one of the cases where we see that a lot is the OSLIS logo on a lot of sites is showing up as broken, and it's simple to fix these. And so what you'll see here on our example site is that this first image on the home page is broken. So we want to see if we can fix that. So I'm going to go up here to the edit menu, and it's going to take me to the edit view for my page. And I'll scroll down to the text editor and find that image, which is the first thing in here, and I click on it. And when I click on it, you'll see this insert edit image button changes to indicate that there's an image there. So I'm going to click on that. And when I open it up, it doesn't say anything about an image here, but it does have an alternative text, a name for it. So it indicates there's something there. And I look at the external image, and it's saying, oh, it's trying to look to a URL to find that image, but this is just a file name. It's not a URL, so no wonder it's not working. So what we're going to do is go back to the image tab and take that name that's in the alternative text field and put that into the search bar, and you'll see it brings up an image that's named that, Longmire. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to leave the size as original, but for some of them you might see a suffix like image thumb at the end of it, and what that would indicate if you do see it is that the image has been resized and that you may want to change it to that other smaller size when you add it back in. I'm going to leave this as the original size though. I'm going to click Insert, and you'll see the image appears now in the text editor. So I'll go down and click Save, and when I come back to my home page, now I see that image showing up. And if I scroll down, you can also see that there's another broken image in this Shop with Smile Amazon portlet, and so that one's going to be the same basic fix. If I go to that portlet, I go to edit it, I click on the image again, click on Insert Edit Image, and I see, okay, there's something called a logo, and it says image thumb after it. So I'm going to look up logo that shows up, and then I'm going to change it to thumb size and insert, and now it shows up correctly. And I'll save that and go back to my home page. I scroll down, and now so both of my images are now showing up correctly. So if you have broken images on your site, first make sure that they're in a published folder, and then go to edit the page that they're on and see if they've been linked correctly, because you may need to fix that manually. And so for each broken image you see, you may have to do that one by one. And then the next thing you may want to do, some images, even though they're showing up correctly, maybe they're showing up and they're bigger than you want them to be. If an image is too large, it can run behind the portlets on the right side of your page, and that doesn't look good. So the way we can do that is resize an image is you go down to and go back to your edit menu again, and then you'll scroll down to your text editor where you've got your image. You click on it to highlight it, and so you have two options here. And first I'll show you. You go back to the Insert Edit Image dialog, and so again, earlier we left our size as original, and say we just want it to be smaller. We want it to be at 64 pixels by 64 pixels. And that's what all these numbers are, is the number of pixels across that size will be. So if I do that, you'll see that image gets a whole lot smaller. And I can save that, and now our image is tiny. So that's the first way that you can resize your images. And I can go back here, and it's listed as a tile, and I can set it back to its original size. The second way that you can resize an image is that you can see that there's little sliders at the edges of the image. And so I can actually just click and drag that. And you can see as I do that, it's going to show me the number of pixels that that image is. I'm going to get it to about 300. Close enough. And so when I save it, you'll see that now my image is smaller. Now, if I do resize an image that way, then if I try to go back and edit it again and set it to a different size, you'll see it didn't change size, because doing that click and drag manually overrides the size settings for the image, and so I won't be able to reset it using these buttons anymore. And you'll see that it actually, if I try to do that, it actually makes it blurry and causes some problems. And so if you have manually resized your image, then what you'll have to do is select it and then delete that image, go back to the insert dialog, and re-add it. And so now I've got a fresh copy of that image. And again, that's only if you've manually resized it and now you want to set it back to one of the preset sizes that's available in the Insert Edit Image dialog. All right, next, you'll want to check for broken links on your site. And so what that's going to mean is that as a part of your import, we've included an Excel file on your site that will give you some information about links that are showing up as broken after the migration of your site to the new platform. So those are going to be located in your site assets folder. And so you can get to them by looking up, again, going to the search bar, looking up site assets, and then instead of going to images, as we did before, going to the files folder. And what you'll see in there is that you've got a file called Broken Links CSV. And so I'm going to open this. And so what you'll see, okay, there we go. What you'll see is that there's several fields of information here. Just make sure these are expanded so that we can read them. So first, you're going to see a field called link location, and that's telling you where on the site the link that's being reported is. And so, for example, you'll see one of these first ones says /kids/teens. So what that means is that it's on, and this is the suffix for the location. So if you start from your home page and then just add that suffix onto the end of it, then you can go to that location. And so the next thing you look at is the field that's being reported. So there's a couple of options. You'll see a whole lot of these just say text. And what that's going to mean is that the broken link is contained within the text of that location, which would be this central area here. In this case, it says portlet plone.right column more help. And so what that means is that it's in a right-hand portlet called more help. So if I look here, I scroll down looking at the right side, and I see, okay, here's a broken image, and the broken link field says it's oslis.gif, and we can see this says oslis. So I think we've found the one that we're looking for. So what I'll do is go down to this Manage Portlets button, find my More Help portlet, and then click Edit, and go down to my text editor, and I'm going to, as you can see, so it's interpreting this as a link, even though it should have been an image that's on the site. So I'm just going to look up OSLIS, I find the image, and I'll put it as original size, and okay, so now it's showing up correctly. And I'll save that, and I will click Return right here to bring me back to the folder from the Manage Portlets view, and you'll see that now my image is showing up correctly. So that was an example. That's an example of one of the things that might show up on your broken links report. And so that one is an image, so it doesn't have any link text to display here, but for some of them they will. So let me show you one of those examples. So this, the 7th row here says it's on credits HTML. So I'm just going to go to that page, and so you see there's a whole bunch of hyperlinks all over this, and I don't necessarily know which one I'm looking for. So I'm going to say, okay, it's in the text somewhere. The broken link is just a slash, which means like it's a link to take you back to your home page. And it's the text that it's in is the text your public library. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to look for your public. Okay, so I can see here that this is the link that's being reported as broken on the link report. If I click it, it works. It brings me back to my home page. So that one, even though it's showing up on my broken links report, it looks like that one's working okay. And we've noted in the article about understanding your broken links report, first, understanding what each of these fields tells you, and then listing a couple of common things that you'll see on it that you may or may not need to be concerned with. And one of them is any of these links that are just a slash or a couple of periods and a slash. These ones are interpreted during migration as being broken, but they're actually working. So you can ignore those even though they're showing up on the report. And there's a couple of other categories of common problems that you can look at. And so you'll just want to go through these and see, like, okay, what's happening? Like, is there anything that's actually an issue, or are these just things that are showing up that are being interpreted as problems but aren't? And so if you have any questions about anything you're seeing on there, again, you can log a ticket with us and we can help you take a look at it. And then next, and we did a little of this already, but checking your portlets to see if you've got any problems. And again, portlets are just the boxes on the left and right hand sides of your screen that add content onto a given page. So we've got like calendars, navigation portlets, and then static text portlets that show you the location and hours of the library, upcoming events, all these things. So if you want to make a change to any of those sections of your site, then you can go down to, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can find this Manage Portlets link. And when you click on that, it'll take you to the portlet management screen for the part of your site that you're on. And then from there, you can do various things. And so you can click on any of these gray boxes, each of which represents a portlet, to change things about them. So for instance, your location and hours portlet, if you click on that, it'll take you to an edit box so you can change the text that's showing up here, as long as, as well as a bunch of options about the display of that portlet. And there's details about how to make all those changes and what kind of changes you may need to make that are in the articles that are listed here. So I won't go into those because there's a lot of different kinds of changes that you may do to your portlets. One thing I want to mention is some of you may have portlets that are showing up on your site after migration that it's a static text portlet that doesn't have anything in it, or just like an empty box. And in those cases, there may be some content that we couldn't migrate or that no longer works on your new site. And if you want to remove those or hide those portlets, you can do those from the portlet management screen. So say, for instance, I want to hide my news portlet. What I would do is go to this portlet management screen, and you can see that I can't do anything with it right here because there's no buttons. Normally there'd be a little X button here that I can use to delete it, and a hide button. I don't have those here, even though I'm on my home page. And so what you see in the middle is this info message. You're managing the portlet, the default view of the container. If you want to manage the portlets of the container itself, i.e. the home page, then you can click on the Go Here link, and it'll take you to the actual folders portlet management screen. And now you can see we have all the same portlets listed, but now we have options for what we can do with them. And so I can just click hide, and you'll see it. Now I could choose show. I click save down here, and then I return to my page. And when I do that, you can see that the calendar and the upcoming events have moved up because that news portlet is now hidden. So I just want to show you that's an example of something that you might be doing. You could also delete as opposed to hiding those portlets. So yeah, and if you have any questions about those, again, log a ticket and we'll be happy to help you take a look at those. Another task that you'll have to do is resetting up recurring events that were set up in your system. While we have migrated the events that are on your calendar, the recurrence, the repeating section of those events has changed between your old and new websites. And so as a result, you'll have to go back in and reconfigure those events to occur every week or month or however often. And so how we'll do that, I'll go down to the news and events folder and then go to my library calendar. And each site is going to have one of these calendars that looks like this. So say I have an event that occurs every Wednesday. Say this summer reading event occurs every Wednesday. So if I want to add recurrence settings to it, I'll click on that event in the calendar, and it'll take me to the event detail view. I'll go to edit at the top, and then I can scroll down, and this is just giving me all the different information about that event. I can scroll down to this field that says recurrence, where I can define an event recurrence rule, and I'll click add. And that brings up a dialog that allows me to change the recurrence settings for that event. So say I want it to repeat weekly. I want it to repeat on Wednesdays for the rest of the summer, which we'll say is 7 weeks. And you can see as I'm doing that, it's updating the selected dates here. And it'll give you a full list of all the recurrence dates. And say it's not going to happen on July 8th. I can click on this trash can icon to exclude that from the recurrence. So I'm going to save this, and you'll see that it updates and explains when that event will recur. And I'll go down and click save at the bottom of the page. And now you'll see that on the event details, we have listed a number of different dates. And then if I go back to my library calendar, you'll see what originally this was a blue dot. Now it's a yellow one, because as you can see up here in the legend, a yellow dot represents a repeating event. And going to repeat this week, next week. And then if I jump forward a month, you can see it's on each of these Wednesdays except for the one that I said to exclude. And those will need to be reset up for any event that's happening on a regular basis at your library. And finally, collections will also need to be recreated. And so collections are simply a way of saving a search of your site for a specific kind of item or items in a specific place. And so there's a couple of examples of those that are pretty common. One of those is a news collection. So the news of things that are going on at your library is typically in your news and events folder. And those did not come over in the migration to your new site, so you'll have to re-add that. And so the way you would do that is you go to the folder where you want that collection to be added. You click on Add New and select Collection. It'll take you to the Add page, and we'll just say we want our collection to be our news, and we'll add a brief summary. And then we'll come down to the search terms down here, and this is where you're going to define what is included in this collection. So I'm interested in news items, so I'm going to scroll down to type, and then I'm going to select that, and it'll take a minute to load. I'm going to select that the type of thing that I want in my collection is news items. And that's the only criterion I have for this, but I could potentially add more criteria if I wanted to be more specific. And so you can limit how much you're searching for and how much is returned if you'd like, and you can change what kinds of information is shown in that collection here by selecting something and then clicking the arrow to add it to what's shown. And then you can add explanatory text about your collection as well if you'd like to. And then I'll save that to create the collection. And as you can see now, I've got a whole list of news items that are on my site coming up here. And if I'd like to see that in a different way, then I can hit the display menu and go to tabular view, and now you can see, okay, these are all of my news articles. And so again, most sites have or previously had a library news collection. If you're used to seeing that and you go there and you see that there's no page there at the moment, then you'll just have to re-add that collection, and all of the content is still there. And once the collection is created, it will be pulled into that news section. So those are the basic topics around configuring your site to get you running and get you back to full functionality. And so with that, I'll open up and see if
seeing there's no questions.
Okay.
Has everybody had a chance to log into their websites?
As far as, the question is, can we change the font and the logo? So if you mean in the on the site title, I believe that will be controlled by the theme that's on your site. So you can control it in the sense that you can select different themes depending on how they look, but I don't believe that we can change the font manually for that one. So as you can see, when I change from the default SAS theme to the Metropolis theme, it does change the font that the site title appears in. Okay, thank you for your question.
Hey, can I ask again if everyone's had a chance to log into their site, everybody who attended today? Dan, can you hear me when I'm talking?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's great to hear. And again, any tasks that you have trouble with or any problems you run into, we welcome you to create a ticket if you need help from us, or even start a discussion in the forums if you would like to understand more about what you're trying to do. Okay, Barbara asked, how do I resize my banner logo after it's been put into place? I believe that the only way to resize the banner logo would be to change the size of the image that you're uploading. I'll follow up with you after this, because I did notice yesterday that when I upload a very large image, it's being resized down. And so I'll see what options we have around that.
Yeah, I think the theme has a constraint on total size. So if it's bigger than the banner heading so that it doesn't blow out the top header, it will resize it.
Okay, yeah, that may be what I was seeing. Okay, sorry. Sherry asked if we covered where to start a ticket. No, I didn't, but I can. We did cover that in the first webinar, which is a recording of which is available in the knowledge base under webinar recordings. But quickly, it's very simple. So if you're on the help desk website, while you're on any page, you'll see this new button and a little plus sign up at the top. So if you click on that, it'll bring you straight to the submit a ticket field, and you can just fill out the information that you have. It'll automatically fill in who you are, and so you can just tell us more about what you're trying to do, and we will pick it up from there. And there is, let's see, where did I put it? Yeah, so in the configuring your new site article, there's a couple of links at the bottom. You say if you need help with anything else, then you can always ask for help, and then that leads to an explanation on how to use the knowledge base, how to post in the forum, and how to create a new ticket. And so again, that one actually contains a link to the same form that I was just showing you. And there's also, sorry.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, Dan, to interrupt you. If you could show them how to get quickly to insert a ticket from within their website.
Oh yes, of course. And so if you do want to log a ticket, you're logged into your site but not the help desk, it's easy to just come over to your menu, your username menu. So under your username, you click on that, and if you click on Get Help, then that'll take you over to the help desk website, and you can see that there's a button for a new support ticket right here. And you can also see that it'll show you all the articles in the knowledge base that you can search through. And additionally, there's also some information on gathering information when you're logging a ticket. This one is just something to help you think about things that you can report, like details that you can add to your report of your issue that will help us understand more quickly and easily what problem you're having and how we can help you. So that's something helpful to keep in mind while you're logging a new ticket. Okay. And do we have any other questions? And Barbara's still got some questions about resizing logos, and we'll try and field those. Yes, we can work with you after the meeting to see what we can do for that as well. So if that's it, then I guess we'll conclude here. And I just want to thank you for attending and walking through this information with us. And yeah, we're happy to help. So we look forward to hearing from you.
Hey, Dean, can you add the logo should be a PNG, correct?
It should be a PNG. It doesn't have to be. One of the things we covered is that as long as it's named correctly, it can be any kind of image. It's most straightforward if it is a PNG. But for example, the image that I have here of my cat is a JPEG, and I remember you saying that, but I got confused for some reason.
Yeah. Everybody here is seeing me on what I should bring up, so I'm like being distracted while I'm trying to listen to you.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't blame you for being confused. It is confusing that you can rename it .png even though it's not one, and it'll still work. But it gives us a little more flexibility, because I personally wouldn't. I forget sometimes how to change between image file formats, and so we have a way around having to do that if that's difficult for whatever reason. Thank you for coming out to this webinar, and we'll have this posted up on the knowledge base for y'all to review at any point in the future if you'd like to. And yeah, we look forward to hearing from you.